Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back on the dev server and we're having a look at the naval portion of the next major update Tusk Force. Now the naval stuff, there was a lot of it in the last update. Obviously we got all the big battleships, the Bismarck, the Iowa, the Yamato, and also Friends. And this time, I think IJN had taken a little bit of a step back, focusing more on kind of like destroyers, frigates, and smaller machines, but there's still some larger ones too. So in this video, we'll have a look at them all. We'll probably do individual videos about a lot of these too, so look forward to that as well. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. Let's get started. We have the Charles F. Adams, which is turning up. This is a post-World War II destroyer for the Americans. That's basically why it's at 5.3, and it also has some stuff that America hasn't had previously in War Thunder. So it's going to be a 5.3 between the Saumarez and the Atlanta, and what it is simple. It's a bunch of very, very powerful 5-inch guns, plus it has a missile launcher on it on the back. So it's going to be kind of another one of those anti-air destroyers, similar to the Bravey. It uses the RIM-24A missile launcher, which I'm pretty sure is the same that's on the Douglas, which is right here. Yeah, it is. So it will fire the same missiles that's on the Dougie and do it with some extra guns. So the Charles F. Adams has these 5-inch Mark 18s. They have a crazy fire rate, as you can see, 31 rounds per minute for the first stage, and then also 21 rounds per minute for the standard fire rate, and aced, it's even higher with a lot of ready-use ammo. It also has a nice search radar, a great fire director, which is what makes these things incredibly powerful in realistic, and then also it has a bunch of different kind of radars on top of it too. This is not the first missile destroyer that was made by the Americans in history, but it is one of them that kind of cemented the idea with the American armed forces. You have a engine set, you have transmission here, and then also the launcher itself on the back of it. As I said, this is the RIM-24A missile launcher. It fires the RIM-24A, surprisingly, and it's basically an air-to-air missile. You can see it has a proximity fuse attached to it. It has a 50-kilo warhead, which is pretty nuts in terms of TNT equivalent, and its semi-automatic guidance system, which means, in general terms for War Thunder, it is mouse-guided. So you lock onto the target with the radar, and then you guide it in with a mouse, or if you use a controller, you guide it in with where you're looking. For the 5-inch guns, you have all of the standard ammunition, HE, then SP, then also HEVT. So you have a little bit of everything, but this is mainly going to be kind of like a support destroyer to the cruisers to be able to knock out any planes that decide that they are going to turn up. It also has this here. I can't remember what this is. I think it's some kind of like torpedo setup on it because you have the Mark 44 torpedoes, which aren't very good. They don't have a great travel distance or anything, but at least they're available right here. It might not be that actually. That might be something else because the torpedoes themselves. Oh no, sorry, the torpedoes are over here. My bad. I think this might be some kind of like weird, like either other missile launcher or kind of like anti-submarine launcher that I read about ages ago. So yeah, this vehicle will come in and be pretty good. The major issue it's going to have is the fact that the missiles a lot of the time aren't going to be that useful because people don't spawn in air that much anymore. And then also with the 5-inch guns, the firepower is very much dedicated to 2 separate areas. So once you take out one of them, you obviously lose a lot of your firepower. So then we have the next machine. This is the USS Maryland. This is the pre-order vehicle for the Americans for the battleship area. You find it at rank 6. It's a Colorado class, and it's very similar to the Colorado that's already in the tech tree. The big difference between them is the fact that this is kind of a more kind of modernized variant of the Colorado, where the Colorado is from 42, the Maryland is from 45. And if you know anything about the Second World War and these larger ships, what the Americans did, and also many of the other ones did, is they just added a metric ton of AA to them because air was becoming a serious threat to ships in the Second World War, and eventually kind of led to the downsizing and demise of naval in general in the more modern history. So with the Maryland, you have the dual 406mm guns in sets of 4, but you also have a ridiculous amount of secondary armaments. So you have 13 quad 40mm Bofors guns. You also have 20 dual sets of 20mm that are all dotted around the ship, even in like these little front brackets right here with little pieces of armor around them. And then also you're backed up by some 5-inch guns on each side of the main area. So the dual purpose guns that you find a lot on these American machines. It has all of the same armor as the Colorado. So if you're interested in kind of purchasing this, you can check it out in the live server. And then also it has all the same characteristics in terms of the guns. So very low fire rate, but generally packs a decent punch with the 2 separate APC-BCs that exist, but not as much as a punch as the other vehicles that you will use in this BR range. So yeah, it's a standard kind of pre-order battleship. It'll get you through the tech tree, but at the same time, it's one of those which will get beaten up when it gets up-tiered. There is another destroyer that is coming in for Germany. This is the Z-51, and I got to be honest, I don't know a lot about this vehicle. I don't know whether it existed or not. It isn't labeled as a project, so I'm guessing that it did, but this looks like a pretty standard destroyer for the Germans. Right now, it's between the Z-32 and also the Z-46, but it has the 128mm SKC-34 guns, which is basically the same ones that you find on the 4.3s and also the 4.0s for Germany. So I'm not entirely sure what's kind of going on there. It has 4 single mounts of 128mm, 2 on the back, 2 on the front, and then also it has quite a lot of secondary armament in the form of 4 dual 37s and also 3 quad sets of 20mm. The vehicle also has access to mines and the standard G7A torpedo, which isn't exactly great for Germany, but it's kind of a description of these German destroyers overall. They're okay at everything, not great at anything, and the G7A torpedo is exactly the same. You can also bring mines if you feel like, but I mean, it's not really going to do anything. And also you have all the other modifications here. You also have the fact that you still don't have any AP for the 128mm for Germany, so you are stuck with only having access to HE when it comes to these amount of guns. So this thing being at 4.7, no idea why. Doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe somebody knows why. Maybe it's missing something that I can't see. The next vehicle is the MPK-33. This is another missile machine that is coming in for naval. So it looks like Gaijin are expanding the missile area. And the MPK-33 is actually going to be in the coastal section instead of the blue water section because it's technically a frigate. So if you want to get access to this machine, you're going to have to get to rank 5 Russia, and you're going to have to grind through all of these separate vehicles to be able to get it, which isn't going to be very fun. So the MPK-33 is a pretty standard frigate for the Russians. It has this dual 57mm AK-725. This one is fantastic at absolutely annihilating anything in coastal that has wood as armor. And then also you have access to the OSA missile launcher plus the good old missiles right here. So you have this, which is the RBU 6000s. These are very powerful. If you've ever used the SKR-7, which I know many people have, that one has the RBU 6000s too. So you know how good of a kind of like medium range mortar these can be. The torpedo tubes are back here with an okay travel distance, but generally it's going to be quite hard to use because it's quite a bulky platform. And then you have the missiles in the front. Now this is the SET-53M set of torpedoes, the actual missile launcher is the OSA M1, and this means that it has access to the 9M33 missile, which is once again another surface-to-air missile designed to destroy planes. Doesn't have as good of a trigger radius as some of the other ones, but it has a very good launch range, and once again, it's a sackless missile, meaning that you'll have to guide it in with a mouse. But just like the Bravey and also many other vehicles that are coming in, this will be able to do its job as long as you understand how to kind of guide it, because obviously it can be a little bit tricky. The 57mm are funny because you have the HE, and then you also have the APC-BC, so you can actually be a terror two destroyers, but one of the things about this big 57mm set is it does overheat very quickly, so you have to be a little bit careful with that going on. For Britain, we have two more vehicles. We have the Saumarez, which I believe is an S-class destroyer for the British. It's really cool to see that they are finally adding more and more of these different classes of British ships, because for a while, especially when it came to the Blue Water Fleet, they basically just started adding in very similar ones over and over again. A bunch of the Daring classes, a bunch of the Battle classes, but we have the N, the K, and now the S, and also the Hunt class. You can find the S right here, between the Grafton and the Brissenden, and what this has is 4 single 4.7-inch guns. You have 2 on the front and then also 2 on the back. You have a really nice red color on the vehicle for some reason, and also green, which generally is really nice to see. And then also you have some 40mm in the form of AA. Like you actually have it all in the center here on this platform, and then you have this too, plus the torpedoes. What I like about a lot of these British destroyers is they have these kind of torpedo tubes which are sat in the center of the vehicle, which means that they don't have the greatest firing arcs to be able to fire them off, but it does mean that they aren't sat on the sides of it. So as somebody who kind of played a lot of Naval Arcade, I recently tried to move over to Realistic. One of the problems is if you have a vehicle like this, then you have basically the ability of firing off 2 torpedoes, and then you have to swing the whole vehicle around to fire the other 2, or you have to move kind of your cursor to the side, which means your guns look the wrong way, and it just makes a mess to be able to fire them, to be able to reload the ones that you want to use. Whereas when they're set up like this, you can actually fire them all at the same time, which is really nice, and then you can just reload them afterwards. So I think that's pretty awesome. With the 4.7-inch guns, you have access to all the different kind of rounds you'd want. You have the SAP, the HETF, and also VT, so you can use them for donking planes, or you could use them just for shooting destroyers and being able to destroy them. So this one will actually be pretty fun. The next vehicle is the Nelson, the good old HMS Nelson. This is another pre-order premium that is coming in for the British tech tree. It's going to be a rank 6, meaning that you'll be able to research everything in it, and it's a copy of the Rodney. There are differences, though. Same differences as the Maryland to the Colorado, and also then some. So the Nelson has a better AA set on it. It's from 1945, whereas the Rodney is from 1940. And the other thing it also has is it has about 300 more crew members. So whereas the Rodney has 1,361, the Nelson has 1,650, which is pretty crazy. This means that the Nelson is generally more survivable because the amount of crew that you have on a vehicle is kind of linked to your, let's call it HP or percentage life that the vehicle has. So if you have 300 more, that makes a huge difference in terms of its survivability. It's set up exactly the same as the Rodney though. You have the 3 triple mounted turrets on the front with these 16-inch guns, and then also you have a massive amount of secondaries, not just on the back, but also even on some of the turrets too. And one of the cool things that I noticed is they have this kind of arrow formation in the front when it comes to these 20mm that are sat here. So this vehicle has 6 dual-mounted 6-inch guns. You can see them at the back here on both sides. You also have 6 single-mounted 4.7-inch guns, which are sat around 2. Then 6 octuple 40mm, and then 4 quad 40mm, and 59 20mm Oerlikon cannons. So these are all just kind of like dotted around the ship to give it a little bit more firepower compared to the other one. So yeah, it's got way more secondary firepower, but the main firepower, which is the one that you're going to use the most, is exactly the same. The armor should be exactly the same, and also the X-ray should be exactly the same, apart from those additional guns. So if you want to check out what this vehicle is going to be like, you can basically have a look at the Rodney in the live server, and it will kind of show you all of the stats. For the 4 or 6 guns, you have HE, and you have APC-BC. Pretty simple, so makes it easy to choose which ones to use, and obviously you choose the AP. For Japan, we're continuing with these kind of interesting early blue water vehicles. And this time we have one which is kind of like a destroyer escort pseudo thing. This is the Tsugaru, or the Tsugaru, or however you say it. This is a bit fat in terms of what's on it. You can see it's a bit of a wide boy. But this is at the start of the Blue Water Tech tree. So you have the Momi, the Matsu, the Tsugaru, and then you have the Harukaze, which is right here. So basically, it's just going to be between those two. And it's different compared to a lot of the other vehicles. It has two dual-mounted 5-inch cannons, so one on the front and one on the back. It also has some 25 millimeters, so 5 triple-mounted 25s in these types of setups and these. And then it also has 5 single 25s just dotted around the place, basically just giving it a little bit more firepower. This thing also was used for mines, and you can see here that you can actually carry 60 of the damn things on the vehicle if you want to. You can see them all right here. And the other thing that you may also see is the fact that these these rails actually run all the way through the ship. So this thing, even though in War Thunder it says it can carry 60, I'm pretty sure in real life, if you wanted it to, it could carry hundreds of the damn things. So this thing is very much a kind of like mine layer. Like you can see actually with the doors here open that it shows you all the mines that you can drop. And I think that's pretty sick that they've modeled that, because when you actually, don't have the mines selected, it actually closes those doors and means that, it looks slightly different. So pretty nice that they added that little bit. The 5-inch guns have HE and HETF, standard Japanese hours. They don't believe in AP, which is very sad. And everything else about it's pretty standard. It has a lot of crew, and also it has some steel armor, so that should kind of help it out quite a lot. And it also has a lot of really wild and interesting kind of little X-ray pieces modeled on it. This must have taken a lot of effort to put together, and I think that's actually pretty cool. For Italy, we have a standard kind of coastal vessel. This is the Baleno MC492. Now, you'll see a lot of these kind of across the place. I think, if I remember, Germany was one of the first to have this type of vehicle, where it's a fast coastal vehicle which has these really annoying guns on it. Yeah, you have the Jaguar here, which I think was the first of its kind. Basically, the Baleno MC492 has access to 3 rapid-fire 40 millimeters. These are the 40 millimeter 70s. They have a fantastic fire rate on it, and never mind, it only has 1 of them on the front. Oh, I thought it had 2 on the back. Never mind. All right, all hype is dead. This vehicle is going to be boring to play, and you're just going to get shot in the front, and you're going to die. What a shame. But yeah, it's a 3-3, and you basically have it between the MC490 and the Alano. You also have the Gabbiano, the Ghibli, the Saeta. Saeta also has the 40 millimeter 70s, and you can kind of feel how good those guns are. But yeah, this one with 1, it'll be really good against anything with wooden armor, and it'll be very bad against anything with steel armor. Then we have France. France is getting 2 machines. So first of all, I wanted to show you this in this way so you could fully grasp the camouflage of this. This can only be classed as eating a bunch of candy floss. And also, do you remember those like light sticks that you would get at raves, or light sticks that you'd get at parties when you were younger that would glow? This is as if somebody ate a bunch of candy floss and then drank the liquid from those and ended up just spewing everywhere over a room. That seems to be the paint scheme of the Aisne, or however you say it. And it's just a premium version of the Marne class, which was added in the last update. The Marne is really strong. It's a coastal vehicle that should not spawn in a coastal zone because its guns one-shot other coastal vehicles. But it's just another. It's just another one of those vehicles that is allowed to just bully other coastals because it has steel armor and a lot of crew. So that sucks. So that's all I can really say. It's 100 millimeters, do a lot of damage. It's very susceptible to torpedoes on specific maps, and it is one of the coastal vehicles that can actually do damage to the standard destroyers because it does get some penetration and also explosive mass in its guns too. The next vehicle is the Gloire. and this is another Galissoniere class. We already have the Galissoniere in the game. It's right here at 5.7. The Gloire is an upgraded version of it at the same BR. So as you can see, it has way more crew, and also it has better weaponry on it because it's a post-World War II French vehicle. It still has the same main armament though, the 3 triple-mounted 152mm, which you'll find 2 here and 1 at a really awkward firing angle, but then it has 4 dual 90mm, which are on the sides. It also has access to 6 quad Bofors on it, the 40mm, and 16 single-mounted 20mm. It's probably best that they actually ended up giving this thing a same BR, because even though it's better than the Galissoniere, if you put it up in BR, it's just going to get itself mangled. It does have very good rounds when it comes to its 152s. One of the great things about a lot of these French vehicles, they don't have a ton of survivability, but they pack a hell of a punch. So if you are able to be quite actually aggressive with them, you can do really well. And I think generally that should be what is focused on in terms of playing these vehicles. Just output of damage, because these 152s will do quite a lot. There's also one more vehicle, the Intrepid, which is coming in for the French as well. This is a coastal fleet vehicle. It is at rank 3, so between the Arras and also the VTB. This vehicle has just one 40mm on the front. It's an L60, so it has a lower fire rate than the L70, and then it just has a bunch of random torpedoes on it. And this thing is the torpedo launcher on the back of it. So basically, the torpedoes just get, put into this thing. They have a 5-kilometer range. They have a really slow speed of 46 kilometers an hour. And yeah, I don't know. It's just so weird. The firing angles, by the way, are like over here, and then also like just over here. So I just don't know how you're supposed to use this thing. It's another steel vehicle, not a huge amount of crew, so survivability won't be crazy high, but I suppose you can use the 40 and have a bit of fun. So that's all of the naval vehicles in this update. As you can see, there's a lot of like mid-tier coastal and blue water stuff, which I think is kind of cool, and also more missile machines that hopefully people will enjoy too. I know a lot of people have been asking for them, so here they are, and hopefully you'll enjoy smashing the non-existent planes out of the air. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.